A pandemic of violence floods the streets of major cities as cases of the media-dubbed murder virus, MV20, soar, causing those infected to go on killing sprees. Caught in the middle, police detective Angela Miller finds her only trustworthy ally in the self-proclaimed psychic PI, Gerald Henry. As the two try to navigate the violence, they are drawn into New Age guru Abramelin Harvest's plot to heal the planet. Harvest's missive?
The world is sick, and humanity is the infection.
The cure? Murder. From the twisted mind of Shawn C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires and Shadow Play in Book 1, Kim and Jesse, comes his most vicious novel yet, Murder Virus. Available where books are sold.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. I'm Shawn.
I'm Ray.
And this is just going to be a quick review of the new movie, The Black Phone, which we saw the West Coast premiere of at Beyondfest last night at the Arrow Theater. It is director Scott Derrickson and writer C. Robert Cargill's kind of the first time they've worked together again since Sinister, and also stars Ethan Hawke, the star of that movie. And yeah, Ray, what'd you think? What'd you think of The Black Phone?
I thought it was great. It's very, it's a lot of fun. It's very dark. It's traumatic in a way that I wasn't expecting. And a lot of it has to do with, as they pointed out last night, as Cargill pointed out last night, about the trauma of childhood. But it's also really good, like serial killer ghost story too. I really enjoyed that supernatural element of it. I thought it was really strong, and without going into spoilers about what it's about, I think it's really well acted, really well made. And as I said to you last night after watching it, it is based on a Joe Hill short story.
Yeah.
And it very much feels like a Stephen King story.
Yeah.
But it has all of the like little eccentricities of a Stephen King story. But it knows how to trim the fat and like get rid of like some of the extras that he would have honestly thrown in, like, you know, little extra details about like a character that was going to easily be gone within 5 seconds. Like, it doesn't do that. It focuses where it needs to focus and gets a story told, and it does it very well.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm trying so hard to remember who did the score, and they don't say on IMDb, and they mentioned the guy's name last night, but I can't remember. So, you know, one of the things I really like about Scott Derrickson's movies, he pays very close attention to sound design, music, score, all that stuff. So like with Sinister, Christopher Young did the score, and it was not like a lot of other Christopher Young who also did, you know, I think maybe most famously Hellraiser. It was way more kind of electronic and like almost glitchy at times. But and then the actual just sound design on it. I remember before I saw Sinister, because I didn't see it at the theater, and a friend of mine that had seen it said wear headphones, and I didn't. And I was kicking myself. You could just tell. So with this one, we're at the Arrow Theater in Santa Monica for Beyondfest, and I think, now I haven't been to the Arrow in maybe 2 years, but I feel like maybe over the pandemic they really like beefed up their sound, because it was incredible. And the movie is, I mean, it just, a lot of the unsettling aspects of it are so enhanced by the audio and the score, which is not, there's no real like melody. They talked about this too after the movie. Like Ray said, we got to see Mike Flanagan come up as like a guest moderator and talk to Robert Cargill and Scott Derrickson about the film, and you know, they took questions from the crowd, and they really just talked about process, and I thought it was really fascinating. But the movie itself, I was blown away. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it all day. it definitely like dips its toes into things like areas of horror that I usually am like, I can't really deal with this. But it did a really good job the way they did it. I woke up and read the short story. It's from Joe Hill's it's his debut book. It was an anthology called 20th Century Ghosts. And it's so funny. It's the story's there, but you could just see how, like they talked about last night, they added things to expand it. And it's such a good example of where somebody took a short story that would not have made a 3-act movie, and they had to build either whole acts or parts of acts. And what they came up with was so true to the story, but it also just became its own thing. So it was interesting because I thought it was perfect to have Flanagan interview them, because he did the same thing to a degree with Dr. Sleep for Stephen King, where he didn't have to build any acts, but he had to figure out a way to do both The Shining and Kubrick's, Stephen King's novel, The Shining, and Kubrick's film, The Shining, do both of them justice and make everybody happy. And he did, like, inexplicably. And I feel like this was similar, where, man, they didn't step over anything in the story, but they just, in the short story, they just made it, I don't know, they really brought it to life in different ways.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah. And just to add, I mean, Cargill brought up that they've kept in contact with Joe Hill, and they showed him the film, and he said, "Can I show it to the family?" Meaning the King family. And he showed it to his father and the whole rest of the clan, and Stephen King, like, and Joe Hill both were like, great job, excellent, really like the movie. So it's, it's nice to know it's a property that was also like, Rick Gay got the thumbs up from the person who originally created the story. Like, not always does that happen. A lot of times,
right.
like writers or creators look at something and go, that is not what I wanted, and this makes me unhappy. And instead, you've got Joe Hill who went, wow, this is great, thanks. Like, and just knowing that kind of adds some credit to the movie and the creators. But yeah, definitely worth watch. And I really like the Arrow. I had never been to the Arrow.
It's nice. It's no Egyptian, but nothing is.
No, but it's one screen, but it's a really nice screen. And like, at first I thought it was going to be a small screen, but then once they went to, because what they do is they have these panels that, like, they have curtains that open. So as I'm sitting there before the movie, they're showing, like, trailers for Beyondfest and other things they're showing. And it was a smaller screen. I thought, oh, okay, well, this is quaint. It's nice. And then once the lights went down, they widened the screen, and I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And the sound system was great.
Yeah,
which
it really was.
Really worked for this film. Like, there's not only the sound, there's not only like the score that's in this movie, but there's also the songs from the 70s that they certainly picked to be in the film and enhance the viewing. And it just was, it was loud, but it was like, it was a pleasant experience. It added to the enhanced experience, which I feel like if you're going to make a movie loud, it should. And it definitely did.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I just want to point out, they used the instrumental. Is it the third track on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon?
Yes.
Run Like,
yes.
I can't think of the name of the song. I keep wanting to say Run Like Hell, but I don't think that's it.
I can't remember the name of it either.
But it's one of those albums it's like 70s analog, but doing things that would later influence like EDM, right? So it's got a very like current, not like contemporary, but like there's a charge to it.
It was so perfect. Like, so perfect. One of the things that I forget, it was Derrickson pointed out that, like, Cargill.
No, it's opposite. It's
opposite.
Opposite? Cargill pointed out about Derrickson.
Oh, okay. But that he really gets into soundtrack music and is like listening intensely and being like, okay, this will work for this scene. I think this will be great for this scene. And I think that adds something. Like, there's a lot, you see movies where, like, clearly whoever made it was just like, well, what is the song we can just throw into that scene? What is something we can put there? And other people that are like, no, I wanted this particular piece of music in this moment because I think this works this way. And you can tell And Ethan Hawke is fantastic. I almost forgot to mention that. Ethan Hawke.
With the music, like he really impressed me
Yeah.
in Sinister by using Boards of Canada gyroscope, where I'll never forget the first time I saw that movie. When that comes on, I was like, oh my God, it's Boards of Canada. Like, and it was just the perfect track. And I'm like, I've never watched a movie before and seen somebody smash cut into Boards of Canada on the soundtrack. It just fucking floored me. Also of note, the two children actors who really are the stars. Oh my dude,
they're great.
Oh my fucking God.
They're so good.
Madeline McGraw plays Gwen, and then Mason Thames plays Finney Shaw. And they're just so good. They're just so good. And there's some like really raw stuff in here. It's the 70s, and you know, it's set in the 70s, and both Cargill and Derrickson talk about how, you know, they grew up and it was like kids got into like brutal fights and just they grew up in working class neighborhoods in the 70s where like, yeah, you got the belt, you know, if you did something bad, or and it was just I could so relate to, because that's my, you know, environment. I mean, I didn't get beat. I got the belt a couple times and I'm sure I deserved it, but not in any egregious fashion. Jeremy Davies as the father was fucking great too. But yeah, so anyway, so I wish we could tell people when this is coming out. There's no trailer. I don't know when it's going to come out, but when it comes out, I would say run, don't walk to your local cinema to fucking see it, because it needs to be seen on a big screen for fucking sure.
Yes, it'll definitely be out at some point. I mean, it's a Blumhouse, which you know, it's a really good movie. It's worth the experience. Go.
It really is.
Like Shawn said, run out to the theater and see it. Take some friends and check it out. It's a good time.
I agree. So, okay. For the Horror Vision, I'm Shawn.
I'm Ray.
Bye.